Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So today's video, we're not really going over any results. Well, actually, I just lied to you because I am going to show you. I had a range trip last week and it was cut short. So it wasn't, the 6 arc wasn't necessarily the focal point of the range trip. I had some other stuff I was trying to get done. But it got cut short. I had a family emergency I had to get to, so mother-in-law ended up having to go to the hospital over Easter weekend. So spent Easter weekend basically in the hospital. So y'all just be in prayer for that, be in prayer for my mother-in-law. It's just a lot going on with that situation. So just lift her up in your prayers, please. Couple of things though, before we really get into this and the topics of the video, because there's actually a couple of topics I want to talk about in this video. Two events coming up, okay, that you're going to want to mark your calendars for. April 29th, so coming up next Friday. Today is the 21st. Today's April 21st. That's when this video is going up. April 29th, next Friday, at Sheepgate Christian Fellowship. That's the church that I attend at Paint Rock Valley, Alabama. We are going to have an event that's geared toward the youth. So if you have, really probably ages 10 and up, maybe 12 and up, whatever. I mean, it's really open to anybody. Even adults can go if you want to. But it's an event called Rock the Gate, and it's pretty much like a concert type worship service. And we'll also have some guest speakers that'll be speaking at the event and everything. I think they're going to have a fire to do s'mores and that type of stuff after the event. It starts at 6 p.m. Sheepgate Christian Fellowship, April 29th. So just get there, go fellowship together, worship the Lord, and it's going to be a great time. It's mostly geared toward youth, but again, even adults, everyone's welcome. So, and it's free. Just show up, so no charge. That's the first event. The second event, so the second of the two events that I want to talk about, is an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast at my church, May 7th. You definitely need to show up to that one because I will, more than likely, God willing, I'll be there working. So I will be serving pancakes, and the guy that handles the bulk of the cooking at our church, he's actually going to be making some homemade sausage. We'll have bacon, and it's all you can eat. It's $10 per person. So you show up, you pay $10, and you get all the food you can eat for $10. That's a pretty good deal, especially in today's world, inflation, all that. You can't really get much for $10 anymore, but homemade sausage, some really good bacon, and all you can eat pancakes. Just all you can eat breakfast in general. That's a good deal. So, and all of the money that we raise, it's going towards the camps that we put on in the summertime. We do a couple of teen camps and a couple of camps geared towards children, Bible camps and stuff. So that money goes directly to that. So you're helping support the church and the camps that we put on and all that. So come out to those events, Sheepgate Christian Fellowship. I'll put it down in the description, the name of the church and the address, Paint Rock Valley, Alabama. Y'all come out, hang out with us. It's going to be a really good time at both of those events. So with that out of the way, 6 arc, went out to the range the other day. It wasn't necessarily focused on this. I had like 6 different rifles that I was trying to shoot and get some stuff done with. I was trying to progress all these projects that I have just sitting stagnant. But real quick, we will talk about kind of what we were able to shoot. Don't pay attention to this stuff down here. This stuff was a different cartridge altogether. But I did shoot 3 5-shot groups. All I had of my 80 grain Barnes tip TSX was 15. I had 15 bullets left. I thought I had more than that. So I had to adjust on the fly on my load data. I thought I had at least 20 or 25. So I was actually going to try to do 5 5-shot groups, and I had to kind of adjust. But I went with H322. That is not that's not a powder that's going to give you maximum velocity in this cartridge. If you go and look at the Hornady load data in the manual, it's not you know, it's not a screamer when it comes to velocity. So you are giving up some velocity, but the hope is that, you know, you can really dial in an extremely precise load and have very good accuracy and consistency with that choice. So I've had good luck. I've had really good luck with H322 in the past and other cartridges. So I wanted to give it a try with the 80 grain Barnes. And I shot those 3, and these were just random. Barnes does not have load data for this cartridge. You know, Hornady doesn't. I was using Hornady's. They have an 80 grain, I think it's the GMX bullet that they have load data for. So it's not even the same bullet. It's just a copper solid, you know, that was really the only comparable there. So I was really just kind of guessing with the load data, but I pulled it off their information. I didn't get any velocity data with this. I was more so just, hey, is this even going to group halfway decent? It's going to be something I want to look at as like a hunting load for this upcoming season. And so, yeah, not too bad. This one came in, you know, under 3/4 of an inch on the first one. So that's 26.8 grains of H322. And you can see the cartridge overall length, 2.1 inches there. And then the next 2, it just kind of opened up a little more. I didn't even put calipers on these because I know they're obviously larger than this group over here. And this is where we start to get into, you're approaching max load in the manual. It's like 27.4, I think, is the max that Hornady has listed. So I didn't really want to go any higher than that. That 26.8 looks pretty good. I'll probably order another box of those just to, you know, double check that. I don't want to go too low either though, since you're already giving up velocity with that powder. That's one of those where if I do use this, I want to stay on the higher end of the charge weight range, just because you're already handicapping yourself a little bit by going with that powder. So, but those are the results I got. I was only able to shoot those 3 groups. I had some other stuff loaded up. I actually had one 5-shot group with 75 grain VMAX with H322, and then I had the 58 grain VMAX. I've got 4 groups loaded up with H322 to test out with that. 58 grain, I mean, that's obviously super light, not necessarily what this cartridge was designed for. But Hornady has load data for it. I have the bullet sitting in my building, so might as well check it out, see what it does. But I'll give a report out on all that when I'm able to get back to the range. So that's kind of the initial where we stand. A couple of events that I talked about. Y'all make sure you come out to those. It's going to be a great time. The latest range session, you know, I shot a bunch of other stuff, but that was this. Since this is about 6-ARC, I figured I would include those 3 groups there. So a couple of comments that came in on one of the videos I did. It was in reference to the barrel length of this guy. Now, when you talk about barrel length, you have to understand that there are 3 different types of people that care about barrel length. Okay, when it comes to discussing barrel length, there's 3 different types of people. You have the government, okay, or the people that regulate firearms. You have marketing people, okay, people who sell firearms, and you have people who reload, right, that care more about the ballistic performance of the cartridge. So therefore, the barrel length matters to them in terms of velocity, right? So those are your 3 people. At the end of the day, really, you fall into one of those categories, you know, pretty much. And so the way barrel length is measured, and you have to come up with a universal way to measure barrel length, right? Because you can't just leave it up to each individual manufacturer and barrel manufacturer and firearms manufacturer to determine their own, well, we're going to measure barrel this way from, you know, whatever, right? Whatever point A to point B, that's going to be how we determine our barrel length. So if the government's going to regulate it, they're going to have to come up with a universal way to measure barrels. And the way you do that on a rifle like this is pretty much from the distance from, so bolt is closed, right? The distance from the bolt, right? Basically, you shove a cleaning rod down in that thing if you want to. And when it stops, because it makes contact with the bolt itself, that distance to the end of the barrel, right? That is your barrel length, okay? So it includes the chamber portion of the rifle. That's what people need to understand, because a lot of people run around and talk about barrel length and they say, oh, well, it's out of a 24-inch barrel. No, it's not. No, it's not. Did you subtract the chamber length? You know, is that the point where, because that's what I think a lot of people, you know, it's just a watered down topic, right? It's just something that people glaze over, and they go, oh, well, it's a 24-inch barrel. That's the data that I'm using. It's for a 24-inch barrel, you know. And when it comes to reloading, you know, that's how all of the data is presented, because that's the standard measurement, right? So everyone just takes it as that, as such, and which is fine. But I think when it comes to reloading and people caring about velocity data, you know, you need to make sure you understand that chamber measurement is included in the length of the barrel. So I think oftentimes as reloaders, you know, you care more about, no, I want to know the length of the part where the bullet actually travels down. That's what I want to know. I want to know, what is that distance, and then increasing that distance, will it gain me velocity performance, right? Increase in velocity. Is that what I'm looking for? You know, that type of thing. So I think you just need to keep that in the back of your mind. It's not right, wrong, or otherwise. It's just, you know, the government, they have to come up with a way to regulate it. So you got to have a uniform way to measure it that everyone can follow. Basically, you have to have a standard, which that's what that is. Well, then marketing people, obviously, they're not going to caveat, you know, when they go, oh man, 24-inch barrel, you know, Savage comes out, oh, it's got an 18-inch barrel. Well, they're not going to put an asterisk by that number and say, also deduct, you know, X number of inches to allow for chamber, whatever, XYZ. You know, so true barrel length, the part that the bullet actually travels down, is this, right? I mean, no one's going to do that. So it's, I think that's the other part that people need to really understand and try to wrap their head around is, I don't care what it says on a firearms website or whatever, or even on ammunition, on the back of the box where it says out of a 24-inch barrel, you know, all of this, you have to begin to understand that includes the chamber dimensions and all of that stuff. So, you know, that's where I'm coming from on all that. I just want to bring that up. And then of course, as a reloader, someone who cares about ballistics, you know, you're more focused on the portion of the barrel that the bullet actually travels down. That's what you're more focused on. And so I think that's where, you know, things kind of get a little blurry, right? There's that gray area when people are talking about ballistics and talking about velocity and coming out of X inches of barrel. You know, you just want to make sure you're talking apples to apples so that people understand, you know, okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm referencing when I say that. So yes, according to Savage, and you can measure it to the bolt, and it is an 18-inch barrel. That includes the chamber and all of that fun stuff. So that's where you just kind of have to, you know, follow me on my thought process there and understand what I'm talking about. So now that is taken care of, the second topic, I just had somebody comment on one of the 6 Arc videos and talk about, well, if you just want something to punch paper or, you know, shoot steel, something that hits harder than 223, then just go buy 6.8 SPC or 6.5 Grendel because it's cheaper. And, you know, this is always going to be something that's subjective, because, you know, I get it. You can go look on, you know, probably 50 different websites for ammunition if that's what you want to do, if that's your thing. I'm not really interested in that. I'm just going to look at one. Midway USA, pretty big provider of ammunition and firearms and reloading stuff and all that. Since I reload, I don't care about factory ammunition. I only bought factory ammunition to get the brass. Couldn't care less about it after that. And really, to be honest with you, couldn't care. I would go ahead and buy that if I needed the brass. Don't really care about that either. But the comment, he was like, hey, it's just much cheaper to go with 6.8 SPC. Well, it is in the context of there's only 3 like at Midway, right? There's only 3 brands. This is including everything. There's only 3 options for 6-ARC factory ammunition. It's all made by Hornady. I don't even know if anybody else makes any at this point in time. And the only one available is the Precision Hunter stuff, their premium hunting line. So yeah, you take a look at that. Holy smokes, $260 a round. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty expensive. Cartridge came out at the beginning of COVID, and that it's hard to catch up with either demand or really dumping supply into the market, for that price to drop down a little bit and stabilize at a normal place, I guess if you want to call it that. And then you come over and you look at, okay, well, let's look at 6.5 Grendel, right? So we looked at the ARC. It's got 3 products that are even listed on Midway's website for factory ammunition. Well, then you go look at the Grendel. Well, it's got 16 products. Not all of them are in stock, because guess what? None of them are. So you can't even go buy factory ammunition at Midway USA. I guess you got to go somewhere else. But I mean, so that's where, just throwing out statements like that, it's very much a personal opinion type of comment. And, you can say, well, just go shoot this because it's cheaper. Like, 6.5 Grendel, you just can't even buy it at Midway, so you got to go find it somewhere else. But it's not really much cheaper if you look at premium hunting ammunition like this. It's $225 per round. So it's not necessarily that much cheaper. Now, yeah, if you want to go shoot, let's see, do they have the steel-cased garbage stuff? No, they don't. But I mean, yeah, you can find cheaper factory offerings for the Grendel. The Grendel's been around for quite a while, so that just kind of comes with the territory, and multiple companies load for it, so you have more options. And then 6.8 SPC. Okay, this one has 19 different offerings, right, at Midway. And one of those, there's only one that's in stock and available. Yes, your 115 grain full metal jacket. So yeah, you could look at that and be like, oh man, it's just cheaper to shoot 6.8 SPC. Well, yeah, you're shooting full metal jacket, the cheapest stuff that they could possibly make. It is brass case, so only cheaper than that would be steel cased garbage. And it's still $1.50 to $1.62 a round. So I'm sure you can find it cheaper on other websites if you want to do all that. But it just, just throwing out comments like that, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I don't agree with it because I reload, so I couldn't care less about the cost of factory ammo. This stuff can be $10 a round. I don't care. It doesn't bother me a bit. So, but it really comes down to what is your intended use for that cartridge, right? Because I think all 3 are great options depending on what you're trying to accomplish. And if you reload, then it's just all the better, right? Because you can tweak and modify and adjust and account for, different variables within the loading process, and different powders and different bullet combinations and all this other stuff, all the fun stuff that we get to do in reloading. So I understand your comment. I understand where you're coming from. If you're just going to look at cheapest available currently, 6.8 SPC probably will be the cheapest that you'll find, and it'll probably stay that way, actually. The 6.5 Grendel, it has been around a while, but it's not necessarily a cheap round either. And then especially now that you have, and you got the 6-ARC coming on the scene, well, it's not going to be cheap. I mean, it's brand new, and there's only 3 offerings from Hornady, and I don't think anybody else even makes it yet. So just due to the scarcity of it, the price is going to be artificially higher. So that's just something to think about. When you see those comments and just on face value, somebody might look at that comment and go, well, there's no point even looking at 6-ARC. I'm just going to go build me a 6.8 SPC and be done, which you wouldn't be wrong to do that. That's a great option. I'm just saying you have to look a little bit deeper than that. Sometimes you have to kind of take all the variables into account. What's your intended use for the cartridge? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you going to reload? That's a big part of it too. If you're not going to reload, then yeah, by all means, you better scope out the cheapest factory offering that'll get the job done, you know, whatever that cartridge is that you're trying to, whatever the end goal is that you have, scope that out, because prices are going to come back down a little bit, but probably not a whole lot. Once all this stuff settles in supply chain, and if it ever fully recovers, whatever, you know, that's neither here nor there. But if that is how you're going to approach it, and you're just going to buy factory ammo, then yeah, you better buy what's available, who makes the most of whatever caliber you're looking at. Line up your top 5 AR-15 cartridges. What's your intended use case? See which ones meet the criteria, and then look at, okay, what is ammo availability, right? This all goes back to Borosaurus Rex. I think he did a video on this, like, what was it, Sniper 101 way back, where he was talking about ammo availability, you know, to get the job done. Does it make sense to go with a 50 BMG, you know, or a 338 Lop-Wheel mag, where your ammo availability and cost is going to be exponentially greater than something else that could possibly still get the job done, you know, whatever that is. So you got to take all that into account. But that's it. I'm loving the 6 ARC, by the way. My opinion of it is still the same. If someone asked, hey, or someone said, hey, what's a recommendation? I want to get my kid into, you know, hunting and just getting them out to the range and shoot in general. Would you get a 243 or would you get a 6 ARC? And if you reload, I would say a 6 ARC. And if you even have a thought about wanting to reload, I would say 6 ARC, because it is more difficult to actually, you know, get ammo and all that for the cartridge. But, you know, if you're just gonna stick with factory ammunition, probably 243 Winchester. But man, there is zero recoil. I mean, just almost no recoil whatsoever with this thing. And I know 243 is a very light recoiling round, but I mean, just if you shot a 243 before, just picture that there is even less recoil available out there in the 6mm world, and it's this guy. And it's just, I mean, you're sitting there, it's just so much fun to shoot. It really does feel like a 223 to me, in my opinion, shooting a bolt action 223. I mean, it's just, there's so little amount of recoil. So I think it's a great option for recoil sensitive shooters, young shooters, whoever. I love shooting it, and I'm 6 foot 220, and I love shooting this thing. I think you can work up really, really accurate and deadly hunting loads, and then you can go out and load up maybe a Hornady 105 and punch paper at distance. So it's just a really good all-around option, which is obviously why they designed it and came up with it. It's just a great all-around. It might not excel at any one category, but across the board, it's very vanilla and just it's good at everything it does. So far, I think I've got close to 80 rounds through this guy. Is that right? Something like that. And so, you know, I'm really pleased with it. I'm really glad I went with the Savage 110 Tactical. I think it's a great package. It's a little on the heavy side for me as far as taking into the woods and going hunting, but I am going to use it to hunt with. I'm going to work up hunting loads with it. And that's one of the other things too, is the bullet availability. If you reload, the bullet availability for this thing, it's not even close. 6.8 millimeter versus 6.5 millimeter versus 6 millimeter. You know, 6 millimeter, at least, and this is just on Midway, right? So it could be different at other sites, but consistently 6 millimeter has more options, both hunting ammunition or hunting bullet wise and match bullet wise. 6 millimeter has more options than 6.5 or 6.8, 6.8 millimeter. Just period. On Midway USA consistently, that's how it's been for a long time. So again, it's just a great option all around. So especially if you reload, you can really go in and fine tune a load and find a hunting bullet that's going to work and perform exactly like you want it to, and then you can go out, shoot some steel. So whatever, that's it. So very long video today for people that just want to sit around and listen to me talk for 25 minutes, but that's it. Make sure you guys Come to the events over at church. I mean, it's great. We always have a good time, especially the food events. Holy smokes, the food that we cook and dish out over there, really good stuff. And then also, don't forget, if you're local to the area, make sure you're stopping by Midway Pistol and Ammo out in Gurley. Go talk to Mark and Robert. Check out those guys over there. If you need anything, ammunition, firearms, Benchmade knives, any optics, whatever, go check those guys out. And then also Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. That's the other one. Those are my two main that I like to go to. Great customer service at both spots. Mr. Big Guns, if you're getting into reloading, that's a great store to add to your list. Also, if you're getting into like the 22 LR stuff, the people that go out and shoot precision rimfire, they have all sorts of stuff to get you going on that. And then also, if you just want to build a rifle, they have proof, research, pre-fit barrels in the store ready to rock and roll. So they've really come a long way in terms of being the go-to place, in my opinion, for people that want to get into PRS or any type of precision work. Man, that's the place to be. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Y'all stay tuned for more range videos. Hopefully I can actually get to the range one of these days and there won't be anybody there, so I can film some of my shooting. The problem is when I film, because I'm just filming on a phone. Like I think people get it confused because I upload videos to YouTube. They think I put like a lot of effort into this, which I don't. But I literally put my phone on a tripod and it just films me shooting. And the problem is whenever you fire the rifle, the rapport of the round going off, like that sound, it really messes with the audio levels of the phone, because it like ramps down on the volume, and I can talk and you can't even hear me speak because for whatever reason it's not gathering any sound at that point in time, and it takes it a few seconds to kind of kick back into normal. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really like to do range session videos, because it's just me sitting there shooting. Like I can't really talk because the audio's so jacked up, and so it's just me sitting at a bench shooting a rifle. I mean, if you guys go shoot, it's not like it's an Olympic sport of me sitting there shooting a rifle. Like it's not anything really to watch. I mean, I'll try to get some footage of it. People like that kind of thing, I guess, but just know that if you're holding your breath on that, you're probably going to pass out. So that's it. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.